Hi guys, this is Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV and welcome to, I guess you could call it a little rant if anything else. Don't really do this very often and get on the camera. Main reason for that is I haven't got around to grabbing myself a webcam to go onto the PC. So trying to do this through my phone, which is a little bit of a nightmare. In the past doing it, trying to hold it, it just doesn't work. So I found someone to prop it up against, and I'm not going to be talking all that loud either because, as you may have seen from the other videos, moved back to my parents and I'm trying not to wake anyone up or keep anyone awake as well. So I'll have a listen to the sound quality and see if it is even worth keeping at the end of this. Might be a bit of it, be a bit of a pointless exercise, but we shall see. Also, hair's looking a little bit messy and could do with a haircut and a shave and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there are reasons why I don't tend to do this very often. But never mind. So the reason for this video really is to start to talk about kind of some of the problems that you might have if you want to move into the world of esports. So if you are sort of a casual player and you just mess around with your friends once in a while, this probably isn't going to be a massive concern to you guys. And a lot of you that watch my Football Manager videos will probably not be along the same kind of lines I would have thought and would just be playing for the social side of things. So this may not interest you all that much, but what we're talking about with esports is the competitive side of gaming. So a lot of it is team based, some of it's individual, but mostly you're in a team of 4 or 5 players. And it ends up becoming quite serious business at the highest level. You've got players that are on salaries, all put together in the same houses with management teams, coaches, etc., right up to the top level. And there's quite a bit of money that kicks around as far as advertising goes. There's something which happens, probably not a lot of information you can find right now, but it was called the Championship Gaming Series. We're going back years now, when players were on salaries of something like £30,000 a year, which is kind of eye-watering amounts of money at the time. For professional gamers, and this is before the time of Twitch and YouTube and advertising revenues from that sort of thing becoming such a huge thing. It was really big business back in the day. So this is what we're talking about here, and it's something that I've been involved in for a number of years, probably getting on for 10 years now. I used to play at a very high level competitively when I was younger, but it wasn't really until I started moving into Canstrike that I started to see how this thing worked as a business, if you like, and as an organisation with teams, managers and the like. That's where things started to move into a different dimension for me. And quite early on I got into commentary, or shoutcasting as it was called at the time. And even if you're not particularly familiar with that and what I've done, there are a few videos where I've covered some Counter-Strike which you might want to go and check out. And the main reason for this little rant, if you want to call it that, is because this weekend coming, which is a bank holiday weekend, basically means 4 days off work for me, which is awesome. But there are 4 quite major LAN offline events taking place. And again, for those of you not familiar with this, what it tends to come down to is which teams come out best on LAN are the teams that you want to be looking out for. They're sort of declared the best in Europe or whatever you're talking about. A couple of reasons for that. There's always that concern about cheating. There's a little bit of that, and if everyone's taking their PCs and playing in the same hall, then there's less chance of that happening. For example, there's the arguments of, oh, if a team are cheating, they're not going to rock up to LAN, that kind of thing. So there's a bit of that in the mix, but also LAN is a completely different encounter. I mean, you can rock up and you can play one match, you can play 1 hour, you can have the game of your life and end up winning the thing. If you go into a LAN event, you are there for 2, 3, 4 days playing solid. And I've been playing in teams and sort of managing teams at these events where we've been sitting at our PCs for 10 hours solid, just playing games, trying to get through the matches because of inevitable delays that tend to happen when you try to get several thousand people to one place, all needing power, internet, etc. It's a nightmare. But if you look at it, one match online is like a sprint. A LAN event is a marathon. You've got to be maintaining your top level. So they're sort of considered the pinnacle as far as esports goes, to be able to deliver. I mean, don't get me wrong, online tournaments can end up being pretty huge as well for the prize money and the prowess that comes from it. But it's all about these LAN events, and there's a big hoo-ha about it. And yeah, everyone gets excited. The coverage sites go crazy. All these LAN events have on-site commentators kind of doing what I do as such, and it's quite a big thing. Now, as I say, there are 4 events taking place for Canstrike, which is the game that I spend virtually all my time commentating when I do, and I am not going to be at any of those events, which I'm a little bit gutted about. One reason for that is I had an offer, or half an offer if you like, on the table for one. It's an event I've never been to before and I'm quite keen to have gone to, and it's also supporting a cause which, okay, fair enough, it's probably not going to be the biggest event and the biggest tournament out of the 4 by any stretch, but it's a cause that I support actively and part of a website and a community which promotes that particular thing. And it's a little bit disappointing not to be going to it. And I guess the whole point of this is, if you're thinking about going into esports, or if you're an active player at the moment, coming towards the end of your playing time, maybe you've not got the time to play and be as competitive as you have been, and you're thinking maybe commentary or management is the way for me to go. From my own personal experience, having done this for, what are we talking now? Probably started commentary in 2006 and have been floating in and out of it since then. It's a really frustrating experience, or it has been for me anyway, and there is no such thing as a promise. And they'll say pretty much, oh yeah, you can commentate this event, we've just got to have this meeting, that meeting, sort it out, and you've got someone that's on your side, and then they'll go in, pitch you, and then you'll find that someone down the line has got some other idea, and that's the end of that. And that's kind of what's happened again. I won't go into too much specifics, but yeah, things will backfire on you on a fairly regular basis, and there is quite a lot of, it's not what you know, it's who you know as well, which was particularly the thing when I started out back in 2007, because things like YouTube, Twitch, streaming in general was such a rare thing, because here in the UK where I am, our internet is awful and has been awful up until probably about 2 years ago when fibre optics started to come in. It might be a different time frame to that, I don't know. And then if you've got the internet, which you might have at a LAN event, you've then got to have the PCs to be able to handle it, which again now, absolutely fine. Back in 2007, you had to have some pretty serious kit compared to what we've got now that you could just go and pick up for a couple of £100. So yeah, that was part of it. And back at the time then, even though I had this reputation as being one of the best commentators in Europe at the time, because I wasn't part of the group that had the equipment, and because people saying I should be doing it rather than them at the time put me in their bad books, and straight off the bat, real problems came from it. And what would have been ideal at the time is if we put our heads together and said, look, some of the guys you've got, they're a little bit questionable in their ability, so let's get someone in, and I could have jumped on board with them and it would have been okay. But yeah, these things never quite work out that way, and it just seems to happen constantly that things will backfire, and it's a fairly frustrating experience. Bearing in mind, you don't often get paid for these sorts of things. You have to pay your own way, so you have to fly to various countries, put yourself up in a hotel, because trust me, when you start getting to the age when you want to stop playing and start doing the commentary and the management side of things, you're a little too old for all this sleeping in the backs of cars, tents, on the floor, wherever you can find it kind of thing. That's yeah, not something I particularly want to spend my time doing. So you end up having to do these things at your own expense as well, and when you're sort of willing to put that kind of commitment on the line, it's a little bit disappointing, I think. And yeah, okay, maybe this does sound like a little bit of a rant, but I just want to sort of clarify, because there's probably 2, 3, 4 people that are really unlikely to see this video, but if they did, don't want this to seem like a slight, because it's not that at all. For this particular event that we're talking about, as of right now, the people that are going there are part of the same community and website that I write for. Do I believe they're going to do a good job? Yeah, of course I do. There is absolutely no doubt, and I'm sure it will be a really good event. And this is not one of those times where I throw my toys out of the pram and say, "That's it, screw you guys, I'm not working with you anymore," because that's not the point and not a very mature way of going about it. And if I was still doing that at age 26, then yeah, I would probably have no complaints that no one would want to work with me, and I'll be fighting my corner solo. Probably would have burnt quite a few bridges by that point. Yeah, so that's not the point I'm trying to make here at all. But LAN and being at an offline event is a little bit different, and you kind of have to have someone there that's been there and done that. I mean, you can jump on and you can face, for example, if you're doing one game, best of 3 or one map specials, that sort of thing. And if a delay happens and you're sat there chatting for 10-15 minutes just about the game in general and what you're seeing and sort of the history of the teams, you can get away with that by all means. And it's sort of industry secret. If you can talk a load of crap about something, you can generally get away with it without actually having that much content, which is always a good thing. And it works well if it's only for, say, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I've had times where I've gone and had a chat with someone for the best part of 3/4 an hour while I've been waiting for various things to kick off, which is great over the short term. When you've got to do that over the space of 2, 3, 4 days, that's when it really starts to stretch. And you need someone that can talk a hell of a lot of crap to be able to stretch that out, for example. And that only comes with practice and experience. Also, if any of you guys have actually been to a LAN event as a player, yeah, you spend quite a bit of time using your voice because you've got to communicate in game. But if you're commentating, then you are chatting pretty much solely. There's no time for dead air. Well, in a team format, there are 5 people. You're not all going to be talking at the same time. But yeah, if you're at one of those events where there's 1,500 people, 100 people even at a smaller one, there's going to be a lot of illness sort of kicking around, and just taking that into account, you've got to get your hydration right, be taking on plenty of fluids. You should see my little first aid kit if you like to try and keep my voice going. I've got all kinds of stuff just floating around my desk: painkillers, Lemsips, for those of you that know what they are, sort of honey, cough syrup, throat. Oh, I end up having to stack up all kinds of things to go with that, and probably because I've been there enough times and know what it's like to have your voice strained over a long period of time. And I guess that's kind of the problem that I've got coming in, because we've got, the 2 people that are taking the spots where I thought I was going to be at this weekend coming. They are experienced players, experienced in the community that we're involved in and got a lot of knowledge, and both really good behind the microphones and will do a good job without a doubt. But I think just lack that kind of experience and the years of sort of sitting behind the microphone, which is a little bit different. I've sort of, my way of carving my way into it and building the reputation that I have over the years isn't necessarily because of being phenomenal at like colour commentary or play-by-play, which I think is fairly self-explanatory. Play-by-play is sort of calling it as you see it, as various kills come in, that sort of thing. And then colour commentary is more of it's getting late, analytical role. So 2 completely different things. And then the way it would either work is you've either got one that's really strong at one that's really strong at the other, and then there's a big separation, or you try and, there are lots of ways you can do it, or you can do bits of everything. From a personal point of view, I'm not amazingly strong in either area, but I'm quite happy with either and can jump in between. So I would kind of set myself up to make sure that my fellow commentator was playing to their strength in whatever they were doing, and I just fill in all the gaps, and and that just seems to work. If you've got a partnership and they're both very strong in one area but not so strong in the other, for example, then it can get quite samey over the space of 3-4 days, and you need to have the ability to mix it up in there, which is a shame. I mean, it would have been great if I'd made my way over there and we could have had like a 3-person thing and rotated in and had some different partnerships just to freshen it up, which is what happens quite a lot. So these events tend to take 3 or 4 commentators at times, and that wouldn't be a problem. I was perfectly prepared to jump on a flight and get over there, but yeah, just hasn't quite worked out that way, which is a little bit disappointing, as I say. But yeah, just something to keep in mind, that if you are looking to go into this sort of thing, you're going to get let down a lot, is the only way I can really put it. And it goes one of 2 ways, really. You either take a bit of a kick in, get let down or something, jump straight back on the horse. You maybe sometimes start to learn who you can kind of trust and who is just going to stitch you up every time, and you'll tend to go back to the people that have maybe let you down but are on your side. And yeah, you kind of will try and pick your friends as best you can, but sometimes even your friends that have got your back will end up putting you in a difficult position at the same time. Yeah, just something to be a little bit wary of, I guess. As for these events and trying to bring you some coverage of them, well, it's a little bit up in the air. I will keep you posted. If there is going to be some action, I'll give you a little update video. It's going to come down to whether I'm actually going to be around here at my parents' place where the good internet is and I'll be able to stream, whether I'm going to be away with my girlfriend, or whether we're actually going to be able to cover any of the events, because the 2 people that have come from the same site as I'm part of are doing the official commentary on site, but we've still got our separate stream that I would be able to potentially jump on and cover the games that aren't on the main stream, as long as we can get access to the servers to do that. So that's all up in the air, but I'll let you know what happens. Failing that, if there's no chance of that particular action, then there's so much stuff going on this weekend, and aside from the Gillingham series, which is still reasonably popular-ish, I think there is going to be plenty of scope and lots of demos kicking around, so I can go and pick them up and really start to unleash some Canstrike commentary. So if that's something that you guys would like to keep an eye out on, then please, well, watch the channel. I'll give you some updates, and if you are interested in seeing some more Canstrike action on the channel in general, let me know, and I'll try and make the most of this weekend and grab as much of the information as I can. Also, it'd be good to hear some comments and feedback from you guys. Maybe you've had similar experiences, or maybe you've been a lot luckier with your sort of experiences and haven't come across the same issues that I have over the years. Well, that's great news if that's the case, so please leave some comments and we'll try and get a bit of discussion going, because aside from the odd reply that I managed to send out, there's not a whole lot of chance to actually interact with you guys, and to be fair, you don't see my face that often on the camera, so it'd be nice to try and get a bit of a chat going. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and there is lots of good stuff still to come. GTA 5, GTA Online for PC is going to be out. Let's see, where are we now? Coming up right to the end of March, so early April. That's going to be hitting the shelves. Middle of April, sorry, 14th I think that comes out, which is a Tuesday. Really annoying that it's a Tuesday, because I haven't got time to put any real traction into it. It's going to be what I can play since I come back from work, so no gym action for me for a couple of weeks, I don't think. But yeah, going to try and get as much as I can of that onto the YouTube channel, so all that to look forward to. More Canstrike, as we talked about, and I need to try and keep the momentum up on the Gillingham series as well. Unfortunately, no updates on a permanent place for me and somewhere to stay. So as far as recording schedules are going, it's still going to be very sporadic, and I can't make any promises or guarantees about how often videos are going to be. I can't promise there won't be sort of 2-week gaps in between at times as well, as we have been used to seeing. We will have a regular posting schedule eventually, But as I say, need to get myself sorted in my own place. I'm not travelling left, right and centre. Or my girlfriend needs to get a job that is closer to me so she can spend more time here rather than me doing all the travelling. Who knows? Either that or I try and throw together another PC and keep it up there where I end up travelling. But again, same thing. If I spend all the time driving up there, I don't want to ignore her and spend the rest of it recording games on the PC. So yeah, all things that I'm struggling with and kicking around, and apologies that I still haven't managed to get a regular schedule going, and you guys have to get videos and dribs and drabs, but it's just the way things are at the moment, which is a shame. But anyway, this has been Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV, and I will catch you next time.